Hello and thank you for choosing Mastercam Enthusiast. In this session, we are going to talk about basic graphic window configuration. When you start Mastercam initially, you will see a white screen transitioning down to gray, as you can view here. You can show your part origin on the screen by activating grid option. You have the choice of changing the graphic window color background. The measurement system should also be set to either inch or millimeter, bottom right corner. To adjust and set these parameters, you need to go to your configuration window and adjust everything there. Now, let's go ahead and do all these together. From the top left corner, select File drop-down option, and this will take you to Backstage screen. Down the list, you go and you select Configuration. By opening and selecting the configuration, you will see the entire system configuration window, which consists of selection tree, which is on the left side, and once you select an option from this tree, you will see the functionality of these options on the right side. At the present, the colors selection here, the colors is selected, therefore you will see the color palette here, and also you will see all the functions and the graphics that have adapted the color from the color palette. For instance, if I go here and I select background gradient start, you will notice the color white will be selected here, and it is number 15 in our list. If you type a number here, it will also correspond to a color, as long as you know that color. For instance, if I go here and I type number 10, it represents green. And if I go back and I type number 15, it will represent white. So there are 0 to 255 color selection in this area. So for this practice, we just simply go and select background gradient start, and from the selection palette we come all the way down and we select number 253, number 252, and then we go and for the background gradient end we select number 253. As you can notice here, the transition here is from lighter to darker in a horizontal manner. And this is why. The direction of the transition is horizontal. Once this selection is done, you just simply go OK, green check, and Mastercam is asking you if you want to save this setting. You say yes, and you exit the system configuration and you go back to graphics window. And now you have a new background color. Now, once this is done, we go back again to system configuration and we will adjust another option there. So let's go back to File drop down menu here, and from there go all the way down the list to configuration, and from here back to system configuration. In our selection tree, this time we go and we select start, exit. Once you select start, exit, on the right side there are 7 groups or categories. Startup settings, editor, default Mastercam file name, current configurations unit, add in programs, undo, and finally current. In here I would go and I select configuration and open the corresponding window. As you can see, there are two options there. One is inch startup and the second one is metric startup. I will select the inch startup, and this tells Mastercam every time you exit and start the Mastercam, you want the measuring system to stay on inch or imperial. However, sometimes for that period of the time that you are using the Mastercam, you may want to switch to metric system. That's when you come to current here. In here, if you select and open, if you open and select a metric system and you say OK and save it, for that period of time, for that session, you will notice the system measurement changes to metric. However, once you exit Mastercam and you come back, again is going to default to imperial system or inch, because simply you made that choice here in configuration. So in our case, we stay with the inch or imperial system for the current and also for the default configuration, and we say OK and exit. Now here at the bottom right corner, my measuring system is going to be inch. Let's go back to configuration again and make one more change. In this case, again, we go to File, drop down menu. From there, go all the way down to configuration. And here in our selection tree, we go and we select the screen. Notice if there is a plus sign next to the screen, click on the plus sign and let it expand. Once it does expand, go ahead and select subcategory grid. Once you select the grid, on the right side, there are 4 categories that we are going to explore: spacing, origin, snap group, and size. Spacing. Spacing sets horizontal and vertical spacing between grid points in an X and Y direction, and by entering an X or Y value, you are setting a spacing in both directions. By default, what you see here is 0.25 for X and Y. That is the spacing for our upcoming grid in the X direction and Y direction. Next, we go to origin. Origin, X and Y, sets the center of the grid relative to the construction origin. Enter X and Y values or choose, select, and pick a point in the graphic window. So once I put here 0, that means my origin is going to be X0, Y0. And if I put a number here, my X and Y origins are going to shift in the plus direction or negative direction if my number is negative. However, I don't choose that, and I want to stay with the X0, Y0 for my origin. Next, we come to a snap group. In the snap group, we have 2 options, near and always. Check mark the always, and by checking that, cursor snaps to the closest point regardless of how close the cursor is to the point. And we will select the always as our option. Next is the size. For the size, type 1 inch as I did here. This 1 inch determines the size of the visible grid, which is the portion of the grid that you can view on your screen. Now that everything is set, we simply go ahead and we say OK or green check, and Mastercam will save everything and is asking you, do you want to save? You say yes, and you come back to graphic window. Now you notice the background color has changed. However, there is no sign of grid. So we need to go ahead and select the view option here. We go to view ribbon tab. By selecting the view ribbon tab, we go all the way to the right where it says grid, and there is an option there, it says show grid. Once you select the show grid, you will see your grid in the middle of the screen. Also know that this grid is what we set. It's 1 inch by 1 inch, and each quadrant in the X and Y direction is 1/4 inch, and X0, Y0 is right in the middle. There is also a shortcut to this setting. Instead of going to the configuration system, you can simply come to view. From here, come to grid, and at the right corner of this ribbon, click the grid setting, and it will open the same window that you will see in grid in a configuration system. And over here you can make the changes and adjust accordingly, and that's what we did previously. And this is the shortcut to that selection. Now, if you like what you saw, consider subscribing to the channel, and I thank you very much.